All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick look at some additional features of the Photoshop program for making selections to isolate pictures in order to remove them from their backgrounds, clean up or refine edges, so that when you do take them out, they look very clean and you put them into a new environment or a new picture. They're going to look very seamless with very, very nice edges and not noticeable that it came from a different picture. So we're going to go over a couple additional things beyond what we've looked at so far. Now, in a photograph like this, where the background is solid white, it's very easy to do the methods that we've already taken a look at. One of those methods is the quick selection brush. And with something like this, that could be something that I actually select the white background by clicking and dragging along the white background, even though it's the opposite of what I really want to select, and then select menu to inverse. It will now select the actual camera instead of the white background. So that's one quick method of doing this that we've already looked at. I'm going to go to select and deselect to get rid of the selection. Another thing we can do is we can go to the word select and we can go down to a couple different areas. In this case, subject is what we're after. If you had a photograph and you wanted to select the sky, we can select the sky. There's a couple other additional things that we might look at for color range in future projects. But for us, let's just take a look at what select subject is going to do. This is going to let the computer and the Photoshop program look at the actual subject that you currently have open, in this case, the camera, and it's going to go ahead and do the procedure for you instead of manually trying to select the white background and then inverting the selection here. It just does a real nice job of selecting the camera. Then we could edit, cut this out of the actual picture and be able to put it somewhere else. So this is a real quick and easy way, additional method. I'm going to Control D to deselect that selection and get rid of it. Now this is a very easy image for the computer to select because it's just on a nice pure white background. It's got very clean edges around the camera, nothing that's hard for the program to really select. Now, the exercise I'm going to have you do is going to involve a little bit more of a challenge to the program, and that is to select the dog, but not to remove or to get rid of the hairs. And we're going to see what the select subject is going to do in a second. But in order to then get a clean selection and bring it to a different photograph and to put it into this setting here, this park photograph that's kind of blurred out in the background that we're seeing here. So let's try this. Let's go what we just did, select subject, and you'll do this as well with your practice images. Both these photos will be available for you. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to edit, cut. We're going to go back over here to the park photo. Again, by clicking on the tab, you can jump back and forth between images, edit, paste. We're going to go paste special, paste in place, and you're going to see it's going to put it down in the corner. And yes, our dog has come in, but the edges of the dog, the hair of the dog looks very, very poor in terms of the quality of the selection. So we want to find a way to clean this up, to make this look nicer. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back to the dog image. We're going to go to edit, undo, cut the pixels, and bring the dog back here. We'll leave our selection to begin with. Again, if you deselect something, select deselect. We're going to go back to the word select and go to subject. And again, the computer and the Photoshop program here are looking at what you have in this photo. Pretty much a green grass background, and it's just looking at the dog. although we're missing a lot of the fine details of the hair. So this is how we're going to fix that. And you might run into other photos that, hey, when you take it out, doesn't look that great. Something like this that I'm going to show you could come in handy to clean up the edges and refine the edges. So we're going to go to select, and we're going to go down to where it says select and mask, again, after we've already selected the subject. So we're going to go here. It's going to pop open a side panel, and the first thing to look at would be the view. And there are all these different views. This doesn't change anything in the actual selection. It's just different ways to look at the picture, so we can go and just see what some of these are looking like. I'm going to have us pick the overlay blend mode. Nice thing about this is it puts this kind of orangey red color, and I can still see the hairs of the dog that are currently not part of the selection, and we're going to clean that up. So I'm going to select that one as my choice, and we can click up by where it says view mode to close that little area, that drop down. And in this particular part, we're really not going to focus or look at any of the sliders down here to begin with. But we're going to go over to the tools up at the side, right over here. We're going to pick the second tool, the Refine Edge Brush tool. And the size of the brush you can control up here at the top. I'm going to make this about 167 pixels, it says. So around 170 is fine. You can actually just go there and type in a number. As you do this, you can add to the selection. You can remove some from the selection, but we're going to just keep the plus part of this. And what we're going to do is just little by little, we're going to start to paint on the outside, moving in towards the dog to see if we can, even along the top edge, I don't see any hairs there, but we'll start to paint like this from the outside, definitely where these hairs are, into the middle of the dog. And what's happening, you notice that it's adding these little parts of the hair of the dog that are currently not part of the selection, and we want to clean this up and add this to this side so that it's going to end up looking much nicer. Some of this might be really difficult for it to select. So if it's missing parts of it, it's not going to be horrible. I think that it's definitely still going to be an improvement. So we'll go along this bottom area from the outside edge. Again, pulling into the dog hair, the white hair, so that it looks at, well, what color should we make selections here? So that's pretty good. Did pretty good job at most of this. We missed just a little bit, but everything else looks pretty nice. And the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to go down to, at the bottom, before we take this out, we're going to press this little decontaminate color. So I'm going to check that off. It's going to take any of the little greenish color that was there and kind of remove that and take that out from this particular photo. And we're going to output this to a new layer, just like this. Actually, we're going to output it with a new layer with a layer mask. And we're just going to press OK. And it's going to come in. Now, I'm going to open up the layer panel, which I currently have closed. Mine is right here, the icon. If you don't see it, again, you can go to Window, to the word layers, click on it, and it should pop up somewhere over here. I can even just click on this and drag it off. And now what we need is we're going to take this picture and we're going to bring this picture over into the park photo. So I'm going to click on this image. We're going to copy it. We're going to go to the park image. Here was our first dog image that we just did select subject. And again, you can see the edges not looking really nice. I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to go to Edit, Paste Special, Paste in Place. And we're going to bring it in. And wow, big difference. Much nicer, cleaner. We have the dog hair. We're not losing pretty much anything in terms of this. Much better than the original picture over here. this one here brought in with something called a mask that we'll talk about, so we can go back to this original picture if need be. But again, much nicer, cleaner selection. So you might run into photos like this where you need to clean up the edges when you first select the subject, copy and paste it. Doesn't look real nice. This might be something that you can go back and try to work with your pictures for the upcoming project. I will have you practice on this as our second exercise to be able to see the process, go through it step by step, just like I showed you. When you get this project completed, you're going to go to File, Save As. You're going to navigate to your Google Drive, inside My Drive, Digital Photography. I'm going to go to this folder for this year, and then you're going to save this here as Photoshop Exercise 2. We are going to keep it as a Photoshop file to start. Always keep it as a Photoshop file. We'll keep all of our layers. I'm going to press Save. Press OK if the options comes up. And then finally, to turn in the file for me on Google Classroom, you're going to go to File, Save a Copy this time. And over here, same name, but all we're changing is the Save As type. I'm in the same location as I just was. Pick JPEG, the first of the three choices, JPEG just by itself. And then press Save. OK on any of the options that come up. Doesn't matter for us. Press OK. And that copy that we saved as a JPEG is the one that you'll turn in on Google Classroom. If you go through this, you get stuck somewhere, rewind the video maybe a little bit, see if you missed a step. If you're really stuck and having problems, call me over and we can look together to figure out how to go ahead, work with Select Subject, which is new, and also how to go in and work with Select and Mask with tools to be able to clean up problems that when you bring it in is missing different aspects of the photo, and we can refine the edges and make it nicer and cleaner of a selection when we put it into a new picture. So that's the next exercise. Good luck, and let me know if you are stuck and have some problems.